thunder did not warn. It struck. Lightning ripped through the clouds and slammed into the earth with a sound so violent that mountains trembled. Rivers recoiled. Birds fell dead from the air. In the center of a sacred plain, a god screamed as divine fire smashed into his chest and hurled him backward across the land. "You dare strike me?" The fallen god roared, dragging himself up as the ground burned beneath his palms. From above, the sky god descended slowly, wrapped in storms, eyes glowing with cold authority. His voice did not shout, crushed. "I dare remind you who rules," he said. The earth god laughed bitterly, blood like molten gold dripping from his lips. "You rule the sky, nothing more." Another thunderbolt answered instead of words. Far below, humans ran. Temples cracked. Shrines collapsed. Mothers grabbed children. Elders fell to their knees, begging gods who were no longer listening. This was not supposed to happen. There was a time before the screaming skies when the gods lived in balance. They had agreed on laws older than memory. No god would force devotion. No god would rule alone. Humans would choose who they worshipped, and the gods would protect, guide, and remain distant enough to keep the world whole. For centuries, it worked, until the prayers grew quiet. The sky god noticed first. He stood at the edge of the heavens, listening. Once, every sunrise brought chants. Every storm was met with offerings. Now, there were mornings when his name was not spoken at all. "Do you hear that?" he asked the river goddess one evening as she rose from her waters, calm and luminous. "Hear what?" she replied. "Silence." She smiled gently. "Humans grow. They change. Faith is not noise. It is choice." The sky god's jaw tightened. Choice fades. Fear does not. The river goddess frowned. "Watch your words." But he had already turned away. In the days that followed, droughts came without warning. Crops died. Storms struck villages that had not offended any god. Lightning killed farmers in open fields. Humans panika. They returned to the sky temples in terror, dragging offerings, bleeding livestock, screaming prayers into the air. The sky god watched satisfied. "See," he murmured, "they remember." But the earth god saw the truth. "You broke the law," he said when they met, his voice shaking with restrained fury. "You used suffering as a leash." The sky god did not deny it. "I preserved faith. You poisoned it." Their argument echoed through the divine realm, drawing others. The fire god, restless and eager. The forest mother, silent and grieving. The river goddess, her waters trembling with anger. "We agreed never to do this," the river goddess said.
"I am the river's
never.
fury."
And yet, the sky god replied coldly, "You enjoyed the worship while it lasted." Fire laughed. "Finally," he said, "a god willing to act." The forest mother stepped forward. "Action without wisdom destroys roots." The sky god's eyes hardened. "I am done listening to gods who fear losing relevance." That night, the council shattered. No decree was made. No peace restored. Only division. The earth god went to the humans first, appearing in dreams, whispering reassurance. "Do not fear the sky," he told them. "Balance will return." But the sky god was already moving. Storms followed him like loyal beasts. He struck temples dedicated to other gods, not destroying them, but humiliating them. Lightning cracking roofs, thunder drowning prayers. "Worship who protects you," his voice boomed across the land. The river goddess confronted him at the edge of the world, waves rising behind her. "Stop this," she pleaded. "You are tearing the world apart. I am saving it. You are saving yourself." For the first time, the sky god hesitated. Then fire fell from the heavens. Not his fire. The fire god descended laughing, flames curling around his arms. "War suits us better than councils," he said. "Let the strongest rule." The earth god arrived moments later, the ground rising with him. "This ends now." Words failed. Power spoke. The first clash split continents. Storm met stone. Fire met water. The sky darkened, not with clouds, but with rage. and humans, small, fragile, were crushed between immortal pride. In a burning village, a young woman named Asha held her dying father. "Why are they doing this?" she sobbed, looking at the sky. Her father coughed, blood filling his mouth. "When gods forget mercy," he whispered, "they become worse than men." Above them, thunder roared again. If you're already feeling the tension building, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because the story only gets darker from here, and you won't want to miss what happens when humans finally speak back to the gods. High above, the river goddess wept. "They will destroy everything," she said. The earth god clenched his fists. "Then we stop them, even if it means fighting one of our own." The sky god heard none of it. He stood alone in the storm, convinced that fear had saved faith, unaware that every scream below weakened him, and the clash had only just begun. Night fell in the middle of the day. Clouds swallowed the sun, not drifting but collapsing inward, as if the sky itself was ashamed. The war had paused, but not because peace had returned. It paused because the gods were watching one another, waiting for the next mistake. The earth god stood at the edge of a shattered valley, staring at what remained of a human settlement. Crushed homes, burned fields, silence where laughter once lived. "This was not your worship," he said quietly, pressing his palm into the soil. "This was your punishment." Behind him, the river goddess rose slowly from a broken stream, her voice trembling. "They prayed to all of us. They offended none." The earth god closed his eyes. "And yet they paid the price." A low rumble rolled across the land. Not thunder, footsteps. The fire god appeared atop a cracked hill, flames dancing lazily around him. He looked amused. "Still mourning?" Fire asked. "Mortals rebuild. They always do." "They are not tools," the earth god snapped. Fire shrugged. "Neither are we." The river goddess turned sharply. "You enjoy this?" Fire smiled wider. "I enjoy truth. Balance was an illusion. This war was inevitable." The ground shook again, harder this time. Wind screamed through the valley. The sky god descended, storms trailing behind him like a crown. "You meet without me now?" he said calmly. "No," the earth god replied. "We meet because of you." The sky god's eyes flicked toward the ruins. For a moment, just a moment, something like regret passed through his gaze. "They chose," he said. "Fear brought them back to me." "They did not choose you," the river goddess said softly. "They fled you." Silence followed. Then the sky god spoke, quieter than thunder. "Faith without obedience dies." The earth god stepped forward. "Then let it die. Better faith fade than the world burn." Fire laughed again. Listen to him, ready to surrender power for sentiment. The sky god's jaw tightened. "You speak boldly for one who has done nothing." The earth god's voice dropped. "If this continues, I will stop you." Storms flared violently. "You would fight me?" the sky god asked. "I already am," the earth god answered. The clash was immediate. Wind hurled the earth god backward as lightning struck, splitting mountains behind him. He slammed into the ground, forcing himself up as stone armor formed across his skin. "Enough!" the river goddess cried, raising her arms as water surged between them. Fire leapt forward, flames slicing through the flood. "Too late," he said. "The age of restraint is over." Above them all, humans watched in horror. Asha stood among survivors on a distant hill, clutching a child who would not stop crying. "They're fighting again," someone whispered. "Why won't they stop?" another voice asked. Asha said nothing. Her eyes burned with something new. Not fear, not worship. Anger. "They call themselves gods," she said finally. "But they sound like men." The elder beside her looked at her sharply. "Careful." "Why?" she snapped. "Will the sky strike me for speaking?" As if in response, thunder rolled. Asha raised her face to the clouds. "If you hear us," she shouted, "look at what you've done." The sky did not answer, but somewhere far above, the sky god flinched. "Did you feel that?" the river goddess asked suddenly, her voice uneasy. The sky god frowned. Feel what? A shift, she said. Their belief. It's changing. Fire scoffed. They still fear you. Yes, she replied. But fear is cracking. The earth god seized the moment, driving his fist into the ground. Stone erupted upward, striking the sky god and forcing him back. You are losing them, the earth god said. And you know it. The sky god roared, storms exploding outward, forcing the others to retreat. I will not be abandoned, he thundered. Not by humans, not by gods. He vanished into the clouds, leaving devastation behind. Fire watched him go, eyes gleaming. This is where legends are born. The river goddess turned on fire. You are feeding the fire while pretending not to burn. Fire's smile faded slightly. Someone has to let truth consume lies. She shook her head. You will destroy everything. Maybe, Fire said softly, but something new will rise. Days passed, or hours. Time meant little now. The war spread. Storms chased rivers. Forests burned. Mountains collapsed into seas. The gods fought less with words and more with fury. Yet something unexpected began to happen. The more the gods fought, the weaker their strikes became. Lightning did not split as deeply. Rivers receded faster. Fire flickered longer between surges. The earth god noticed first. They are slipping away, he said quietly to the river goddess as they hid within a shattered canyon. Who? She asked. The humans, he replied. Their faith is breaking, not bending. She closed her eyes, feeling the currents of belief. They no longer pray for us to win. What do they pray for? He asked. She swallowed. For us to stop. High above, the sky god stood alone again, storms thinning around him. Why do you hesitate? He demanded of the empty sky. I gave them order, but no answer came. Far below, Asha knelt among the ruins of her village, surrounded by survivors. We can't wait for them, she said, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. If the gods won't listen to each other, then they must hear us. The elder stared at her. You would challenge the gods? Asha stood. Someone has to. If you're still watching, hit like right now because the next part is where humans step into a war they were never meant to survive. The wind shifted. For the first time since the war began, it carried not thunder, but doubt. Something unheard of happened. Humans stopped kneeling. They gathered instead, quietly at first, then openly. Not in temples, but in ruined fields and broken villages. They spoke to one another, not upward. Asha stood among them, her voice carrying despite her fear. We keep praying, she said. And they keep fighting. Maybe the gods are not waiting for faith. Maybe they are waiting for silence. A murmur rippled through the crowd. An old woman shook her head. If we stop praying, they may destroy us. Asha met her gaze. They already are. Above them, the river goddess drifted unseen, listening. Every word pressed against her like a wound. They are slipping away, she whispered. The earth god stood beside her, fists clenched. Because we failed them. Far across the sky, thunder answered, angry, defiant. The sky god felt it clearly now. Each unspoken prayer drained him. Each unanswered plea weakened his storms. Do not turn from me, he growled, summoning clouds with effort now. I protected you, but the wind carried no praise back. Instead, it carried voices. They sound different, Fire said, appearing beside him in a swirl of heat. Less afraid. They will remember fear, the sky god snapped. They always do. Fire tilted his head. Unless they don't. Lightning cracked weakly. Fire's smile thinned. You're fading. The sky god struck at him, but Fire dodged easily. Careful, Fire said. If you fall, you take us all with you. The sky god froze. What are you saying? Fire's tone softened, dangerous now. This war is draining the source. Belief. If humans reject us entirely, none of us survive. The sky god's voice dropped. Then make them believe. Fire studied him. How? Break them. Fire did not answer. Below, the earth god descended into a gathering of humans for the first time since the war began. He appeared not as a towering force, but as a man formed of stone and soil. The crowd recoiled. Asha stepped forward before fear could claim them. "Why are you here?" The earth god knelt. The ground softened beneath him. "To listen," he said. Shock spread through the people. "You fight above us," Asha said, anger sharp in her voice. "While we bury our children." "I know," he replied, "and I am sorry." No god had ever said that before. The river goddess followed, rising gently beside him. "We forgot ourselves." Asha's hands trembled. "Then stop." The earth god hesitated. "The sky god will not." "Then let him fall," someone shouted. Silence crushed the air. The earth god looked at Asha. "If we strike him down, the heavens may collapse." Asha swallowed. "And if you don't, we will." Far above, storms gathered again. The sky god descended in fury, sensing betrayal. "You kneel to them now?" he thundered. The earth god rose to his feet. "I stand with them." The river goddess lifted her voice. "This ends tonight." Fire arrived last, hovering between sides, eyes flickering with uncertainty. The sky god laughed bitterly. "You would choose mortals over eternity? They are eternity now," the river goddess replied. The sky god raised his hands. Storms screamed. Asha stepped forward, heart pounding. "Stop!" Thunder paused. All eyes turned to her. "You demand worship," she said, voice breaking but strong. "But worship cannot grow in ruins. We do not fear you anymore. We mourn you." The sky god stared, stunned. Fear flickered in his eyes. "No," he whispered. "You need me." "We needed you," Asha corrected. Past tense. Something inside the sky cracked. Storms unraveled. Clouds thinned. The sky god screamed, not in rage but terror. Fire moved first, flames wrapping around the sky god, not attacking but binding. "Forgive me," Fire whispered, "but this is the only way." The earth god struck the ground, sealing the sky god's power into the heavens themselves. Lightning without will, storms without command. The sky god fell, not dead, but diminished. Silence followed. Wind moved gently for the first time in ages. The river goddess wept openly. Asha collapsed to her knees. The earth god looked at the humans. "We will not rule you anymore." Fire turned away, expression unreadable. High above, thunder rolled faintly. No longer a voice, just an echo. If you've stayed this far, subscribe now because the ending of this story will change how you hear thunder forever. The gods had lost their throne, and humanity had found its voice. The world held its breath. Storms no longer chased the horizon. Rivers returned to their paths. Fire slept beneath the earth instead of dancing across it. For the first time since memory began, the gods were silent. Humans did not cheer. They watched. Asha stood where the sky god had fallen, staring at the empty air. "Is it over?" she asked quietly. The earth god looked older now, his voice heavy. "The war is, but not the consequences," the river goddess said. Fire stood apart, flames dimmed to embers. "You've done what none of us dared," he said to Asha. "You broke the chain." Asha did not smile. "We broke ourselves to do it." Days passed. Or weeks. No one counted anymore. The gods withdrew from the sky and land, lingering only at the edges of the world. Without constant worship, their forms blurred, less solid, less certain. The earth god visited villages, not as a ruler, but as a witness. He watched humans rebuild without prayer, without offerings, using hands instead of hope. "They don't call for us," he said to the river goddess one evening. She nodded. "They don't need us." The words hurt more than any blow. Fire paced restlessly. "So this is how we end," he muttered. "Fading into stories. Into lessons," the river goddess corrected. High above, the sky god lingered, bound to the storms themselves. He no longer spoke. He no longer commanded. Thunder rolled only when the world required balance. Once, the earth god approached the heavens. "You could speak," he said gently. "Ask forgiveness." The sky god's voice echoed faintly. "From whom?" "From them," the earth god replied. Silence answered. Below, Asha gathered people again, not to pray, but to remember. "They will become myths," she said. "Not masters. We will tell our children who they were, and why they fell." An elder nodded. "So we do not repeat them." The river goddess listened from afar, tears slipping into the sea. "They are wiser than we ever were." Fire looked at the sky one last time. "If we stay, we poison them." The earth god exhaled slowly. "Then we leave." They gathered at the edge of existence, where memory thinned into legend. "We will bind ourselves to stories," the river goddess said. "Not power." Fire smiled faintly. "I always preferred endings." The earth god looked back at the world one final time. "They will forget our voices." "They should," the river goddess replied. Asha felt it when the gods let go. The air changed, not colder, not warmer, just free. She looked up. "Goodbye," she whispered. No answer came. Years passed. Thunder still rolled. Rivers still flowed. Fire still burned. But none demanded worship. And when storms came, people no longer asked why. They listened instead. If you're still here, like this video and drop a comment. Because the final moments of this story carry a truth gods tried to bury. The age of gods had ended, but their echo remained. Memory became more powerful than belief. Children were born who never heard prayers shouted into the sky. They learned stories instead, spoken softly by firelight, carried by elders who had survived the war. Asha grew older. Lines formed on her face, not from sorrow, but from knowing too much too soon. She became a storyteller, though she never called herself one. "They were not monsters," she would say. "They were afraid." One night, a child asked her, "Afraid of what?" Asha stared into the flames. "Of being forgotten." Far away, beyond sight, something stirred. The river goddess felt it first. A ripple of remembrance. A child repeating a story. A name spoken without worship, without fear. "We still exist," she whispered. "Yes," the earth god replied, his voice barely more than wind through stone. "But we do not rule." Fire laughed quietly, his flames faint but warm. "Best ending we could hope for." Thunder rolled gently across the horizon. Asha paused mid-sentence. She smiled sadly. "They're listening," she said. "Not to us, to the world." The sky god remained silent, bound forever to balance, stripped of pride, stripped of voice. And yet, when storms came without warning, people remembered. They did not kneel. They endured. Years turned into generations. Temples crumbled completely, reclaimed by vines and roots. Names of gods blurred, shifted, changed. Some became metaphors. Others became warnings. Once, long after Asha had passed, a young man stood alone on a hill as thunder rolled overhead. "Are you angry?" he asked the sky. The wind did not answer. Rain fell anyway, not as punishment, as necessity. That night, the river goddess smiled for the first time in centuries. "They learned," she said. The earth god rested, content. Fire dimmed into a spark, waiting for stories to keep him alive. And the sky god, once ruler, once tyrant, finally understood. He had not been destroyed. He had been released. Released from fear. Released from the need to be worshipped. Released from himself. The clash of gods had ended not with victory, but with surrender. Not by divine force, but by human voice. And if, sometimes, thunder still sounds like argument, maybe it is only memory echoing through the sky. Or maybe, just maybe, the gods are listening. If this story held you till the end, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and drop a comment telling us, do you think the gods ever truly left? Or did they simply learn to be silent? Because stories like this live only as long as someone is willing to remember them. And now, you are part of the story.